I've had this Evolution R210 CMS miter saw for about 9 months now. When Evolution sent me it to review, they said it was replacing the old Rage 3B. So I thought I would just let you know what I think about the saw after 9 months. The first thing I'll say is that I am very pleased with this miter saw. It's a very good miter saw. So if you were to go back and look at the review I did on the Rage 3B, you would see that I had 2 issues with it when it arrived out of the box. The first one was the fact that there was a lot of play on the saw itself, and it was down to the bracket where the saw tilts forward, and also how this assembly was fixed onto the base. And in both cases there was an awful lot of play and it needed some adjustment when it came out of the box. Now on this new saw, the way that they've done that is to totally redesign this bracket here. So now it's connected on this side, and if I swing round, it's connected on this side, so the shaft goes right through and it's supported on both sides, and there's virtually no play on that at all. So as well as having the shaft going all the way through, this bracket is now actually part of the base, so there is no movement there at all. It just can't move, it's all one piece. So they've taken away 2 places where error could occur. The hold down clamp on this new saw is better, and I do love these square knobs. They're just so much easier to use compared to the nailed ones that are on the 3B, so that's another advantage. This new design is just way easier and far superior to the one that was on the 3B. Also on the Rage 3B you had to screw support on the back so that when you put it on your bench it would sit flat, but now it's actually incorporated into the saw, so you don't have to attach anything, it's just ready to go, and you can fold it in and out as you need it. That's much better. I do love the matte black finish on this saw. I think it looks much better than the old saw, which was predominantly aluminium. I personally think the black look is way more professional. Another improvement is the on-off button for the saw. That's virtually across the full width of the handle, and it just sits in the right place for you to squeeze it when you've got the saw ready to use. I love the release handle on the old saw, and I wouldn't have thought it would be possible to improve that. But that is an improvement. This is just way better. Another improvement is this knob. So if you want to lock the blade to change it, instead of having to spin the blade round, there's so many indents, you can lock the blade with just in a fraction of a second if you need to change the blade, which is handy if you want to change from, say, a metalworking blade to the general purpose blade, or put a diamond blade on there, something like that. Another improvement for me is how easy it is to move this base compared to the 3B. The 3B was very stiff. Now this is not stiff at all. In fact, it's very easy to change the angle of the blade, and the indents are really precise. It just slots in and it's in the right position, and then you can clamp. As I've said before, if you couple this miter saw with the miter saw stand, you end up with a very capable portable workstation. For me, the biggest improvement that the team at Evolution have made on this saw is to make it so that you can attach it to the miter saw stand without having to make a wooden base for it. So these clamps bolt straight onto the miter saw. I'd like to challenge Evolution to make it so that you can actually remove and attach the saw to these clamps quickly and easily with a release, rather than having to bolt it on. There are times when it would be very useful to whip this off really quickly and just stand it on your workbench, or on the floor even. So if you've just decided that you want to buy a miter saw and you're not sure what to buy, the thing that you need to work out is how big the material is that you want to cut with the saw. So this machine will cut approximately 5 inches by 2 inches. So 5 inches across by 2 inches high when it's set at 90 degrees. You know, if the biggest thing that you're going to work with is a 4x2, then you'll have no problems with this saw at all. But if you know for a fact that you're going to cut something that's wider than 5 inches, you need to think about maybe a sliding miter saw, which will add considerably to the cost. Another thing to consider instead of buying a sliding miter saw is to go for this saw, and also if you've got the funds to go for a circular saw table. And Evolution makes some good circular saw tables. A circular saw table gives you a lot more versatility. You can do a lot more with a circular saw table than you can with a sliding miter saw. So that's just a little bit of food for thought there. You know, I bought my first miter saw in, I think it was around 2000, 2001, and it cost me £180, which was an absolute fortune then. And it was nowhere near as good as this one. You expect things to improve over time, but this saw, for the price you're paying for it, is an absolute gem. So I think that the research and development guys at Evolution have done a very good job with this saw. It's obvious to me that some care has gone into its design, They've looked at the problems with the Rage 3B and they've tried to address them, and I think they've done a very good job of that. For the price, this saw represents excellent value for money. A few times over the last 9 months I've cut metal with it, which is something I absolutely hate doing with a mitre saw. But it's still the same blade and it still cuts wood just as well. So yeah, it is really useful. Something like this will save you an awful lot of time on any of your DIY or furniture projects. Joinery work, metal fabrication or furniture making. It's a smashing little saw. I hope you found this video useful and thank you for watching.